As professionals, we would all aspire to support families and carers of people with cancer. However, a combination of issues, such as lack of time, complexities of the family dynamic, difficulties in making contact with family and carers, lack of information about available resources, and sometimes just not knowing what to say when a situation seems so sad and complicated, can make this support hard for us to provide. This short film has been made on behalf of London Cancer to raise awareness and understanding of the experiences and needs of family and carers of people with cancer. The aim is to help you as frontline professionals feel more informed and confident when you are talking to a family or carer. To facilitate this, we've produced an information card which you can offer to those close to a cancer patient, which provides clear details of national and local support services. In this short film, you will hear carers talking about their experiences, and you will see that these experiences are, of course, very varied, covering issues such as concerns over finance and work, right through to more complex personal and emotional worries. There are a few key points we would like to highlight, and of course, you will have your own thoughts on the subject. Firstly, it's important to remember that people may not define themselves as a carer or recognise the term. It's a sort of shorthand we use. We use carer to mean anyone affected by a person's cancer who may be providing informal, unpaid support and care to a relative, partner or friend. There may often be several different people caring for one person, and it's not necessarily just the next of kin. Secondly, it can be really difficult to know who everyone is. If you think someone is involved, approach them. Ask them how they are. Often people will say, "I'm fine." You may want to consider asking them again. Thirdly, those affected by a cancer diagnosis in a relative or friend may not know that they can ask for help, and people like us in authority can seem rather daunting and too busy to approach, particularly with all the activity going on a hospital ward. Here, as you will probably recognise, little things can make all the difference. An acknowledgement, a smile, the offer to have a chat somewhere private. Fourthly, using language that people can understand is important. The patient may have managed to gain some understanding of the medical jargon and shorthand that we use, but the carer potentially will not have had the opportunity, but nevertheless may find it hard to say that they can't comprehend what we're saying. Fifthly, check with the patient and other carers for invisible carers who may be involved but unable to visit the hospital, for example, a partner with their own health problems or a busy job. If the patient consents, you may want to offer to ring them to provide telephone support. Finally, research has shown that family members may be feeling more anxious and uncertain than the patient themselves, and there is potentially a huge amount we expect of them when someone gets discharged home.
When my mother was told she had cancer, she was obviously very upset. She had an operation and they found it had already spread to the lymph nodes. She cried in my arms.
Well, when my mum was diagnosed with cancer, I was 14 years old. It was quite a new experience for me, knowing that I haven't known anyone who had cancer. I didn't even know what cancer was. So seeing someone, the closest person to me, my mum, have cancer was quite an eye-opener experience.
Whatever priorities you had at that time was thrown out the window because this was the number one priority now.
Very scared. Suddenly the whole world had changed.
It was quite, oh, my mum's sick. My mum, you could definitely say, my mum is sick, and I could see that as a young child at 14, I could see that my mum was not well. It affected me in many ways. My schoolwork, my friends, I didn't really want to go out with my friends, or didn't want to go to school because I don't want to go to school. What happens to my mum? You know, if I'm at school and something happens to my mum, I won't be there.
All the things you planned just went out the window.
I have an older sister, her name is Sasuke. She dealt with it very different from me. She was older than me, she's 6 years older than me. She more isolated herself. She kind of came home, stayed in her room, went straight off to college. She didn't really talk much. With me, I was the complete opposite. I was more involved. I was like, Mum, if you need me, I'm here, Mum, you know.
I don't think I was particularly recognised as being an important part of the team, if you like.
So when I did come to the hospital with my mum, it was me just sitting beside her, no one really communicating with me, just communicating with her, didn't acknowledge me at all. My mum was very weak, so she didn't ask, oh, is there anyone at home who can take the injections for you? And I had to do it when she got home, but I did not have a clue what I was doing.
So we had to seek people who could assist us with helping out with its benefits, what he was entitled to. At Northwick Park, it was quite helpful because we found him at Millen section. And they were really, really helpful in signposting us to what was out there to benefit him. And also ourselves, regards counselling, knowing how to deal with markers at the time, because I don't know if you can appreciate, going through the treatment, we had mood swings, he was up and down.
We weren't told about that for several months after the operation. It was only when we were beginning to have the chemotherapy that was mentioned, and that in fact was somewhere where she was able to go and get a lot of support, real support, and of course complementary therapies, which were very helpful to her. Now, what I didn't realise at the time was that I too could have gone there, because there's no doubt, I mean, I nearly had a nervous breakdown. It was a very difficult time indeed for me, and I would have benefited, I think, from some of the complementary therapies which were available at Cherry Lodge. And it was only long after all this was over that I discovered that, yes, I too could have gone along.
Employers were really supportive. I can appreciate in some instances some people would not have been able to get the time off like I was able to help them with appointments and be with them at the hospital and that kind of thing. So
I didn't understand any of the cancer terminology at all. I didn't understand it at all. So all I knew is the word cancer, which was quite frightening because that word itself is very scary. So when they were talking to my mum, I didn't understand. My mum we had to go home and then she had to explain it to me in the way that I would understand. So no, anytime I went to the appointments with my mum, I didn't understand anything they were saying.
sometimes you want to ask questions and it's like, well, I haven't got the time right now, and the fact, well, we're there thinking, well, this is my son's life here at the minute, if you can't spare 5-10 minutes. Although I appreciate you're busy, it's not just this patient, you've got loads of other patients, I appreciate that, but I remember saying this to another lot of staff I spoke to a little while ago, and even if you have to fake it, you know, to show that you're listening or that you care, do it, because it means a lot.
Don't be afraid to ask whoever the patient is with if you're okay, because I feel like the person who is with them at the time, they are some sort of carer, because they are there to support them, and carers can be our supporters. So just ask, how are you feeling, or how are you going through this, or do you need any help, or do you need any support in any way, or in some information even about cancer itself.
It is so important that the carer is seen as an integral part of the team, because after all, once you get home, it's the carer who's the one who's going to be the main support, and they need to be equipped properly and armed to do that job with as much information as possible. And it could well be, you see, that when you get home you find family will be some support, other members of the family, but some you may want, as in our case, you want to shield those people from the real impact of the cancer.
You know, the simple things like, are you hungry, or are you thirsty, would you like a glass of water? Nobody asked me, and that would have helped, you know, because I see them supporting my mum, but it's like, oh, like I need some support too. And as a child, as I said, I was 14, just for them to ask me, are you all right, or just to acknowledge me, would have been great.
We hope that you find this short film helpful. You are a key resource for family and carers and can make a huge impact on them in just a few minutes. Sometimes just a few words of acknowledgement can make all the difference. Even when we are worried that we don't have any answers and indeed can feel quite helpless ourselves, the evidence shows that it is always better to approach someone and just ask them how they are. Just being listened to is therapeutic in itself. You may be able to signpost them towards other services that can help. For example, welfare and benefits advisors, information centres, a counsellor, social worker, or the Macmillan Helpline. The Carers Information Card with the details of support services will be available on your wards. We hope that you now know where it can be found, so that you may be able to offer it to carers, family and friends who you will come into contact with in your daily work. Thank you.